Hey guys, GARO, my vlog for my review of GARO, Chapter the Black Wolf, episode 3. So, this is probably my favorite of the first 3 episodes. Yeah. So anyway, you'll see that as we get in, but I just wanted to say that up front. This is probably one of my favorites of the first 3. The plot is basically that Koga is facing a new horror that doesn't possess a human and disguise itself as a human so it can go into to devour humans in our world. Instead, it actually takes possession of watches. It pretends to be a timepiece of some sort, so that it can devour humans by basically burrowing itself into the victim's body like a parasite, and draining its body of its essence, turning it to sand. Like sands of the hourglass. And basically, Koga's whole plot is to try and figure out a way to hunt this horror that he's not used to, and also to keep Kaoru safe. And to further that, we also learn that Kaoru only has about 100 days left to live due to being bathed in the blood of a horror. It's not just that she's now tasty to horrors. She's going to die in 100 days unless Koga can find some way to stop it. So yeah, like I said, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the first 3. I really like the horror named Morax. I remember this one because they actually give its name. Sometimes they give its name and sometimes they don't. But it's really good. We see more with the Watchdogs and Kodama. We also are introduced to Koga's home, which is a giant mansion. We actually get to see more of the inside instead of just his training room. We actually get to see that it's a mansion. For some reason, Makai Knights are rich. I guess that they just have a lot of money from being Makai Knights or something. I don't know. It don't make really a lot of sense. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where it looks better. And I kind of like having my little trinket shelf there. So yeah, we get to do that. We also get to see more of Gonza, his butler. We also get to see that Gonza actually helps him like research horrors. Like he actually has like all these books that tell him of the various horrors. We actually get to see the pictures. It's really interesting, and we get to see a bit more of him interacting with Kaoru. Kaoru gets involved in the plot because she's working for a delivery place where she can like deliver stuff via a bike. Oh, sorry, lights. I probably shouldn't be doing this in my room. Anyway, she is working for a delivery system via riding a bike. So basically, she has a wristwatch to have to figure out what time it is and where to go. But yeah, and so basically Koga hires her to deliver something, but really he's hiring her to stay in his mansion where she'll be safe and away from clocks. But yeah, there's not really a lot of plot. The only thing we really see get the plot moving is Kaoru like how much time Kaoru has. It's probably a little less than 100, because we never really know how much time passes, but I can kind of gather it's probably either a couple days in between the first 2 episodes, but probably more like a week or 2 between these. But it's still really fun, and I think it does do a lot to address Koga's character. Because when he fights Morax, who's awesome because the little watch that he uses to hunt humans is actually a lure that he uses to feed and then come back to his actual body, which is a clock tower, and Koga has to fight in it. Like the Morax even says, you're the first human in our long or a Makai Knight in our long history to enter a body of a horror. I think it more supposed to be implied that it's the first time anyone has been inside Morax. Because that seems kind of weird, because like the anime even hints that like this is the nights have been going on for like 100 years or so. Excuse me, sorry. I had a Coke while I was watching to cleanse the palate a little. But yeah, that was really neat. And like Morax is like, why don't you let me just eat her? She's gonna die. And Koga's like, no. Even if she has a little bit of time left, I want her to enjoy it. and it shows that he does care about Kaoru and humans in general, because like Morax will use his lure to uh, take possession of people, sort of. Like he doesn't fully possess them like we saw in the first two episodes. He just uses them as puppets and as ways to make fast escapes. And like Koga cannot hurt them, and it kind of implies that he can't harm humans, and that's his weakness. And this will get explained a bit more later on down the road, so I'll wait until then. But he even tells Morax, "My job is to protect humans. That is what I believe. That is my duty as a knight." And and it shows that even though he's a little bit cold and heartless in certain ways, he does care. Yeah, we all, like I said, we get introduced to Gonza, who's probably my favorite secondary character aside from some of the other characters we'll be seeing, but of minor characters, not like the knights we'll see later on. But like I like him because he's hilarious, but he's also really helpful. He's basically his Alfred. Like legitimately, Koga is basically Japanese Batman, except that he wears like a gold armor at night. But yeah, and again, it's an interesting horror. I really like when the horrors do something interesting aside from just possessing a human and eating people. And Morax is really interesting, especially because since this takes place in 2005, not everyone has a smartphone yet. And granted, everyone had a cell phone, but it wasn't like people use them as watch pieces as we do now. But like, yeah, and like it makes sense, like and that's one of the big themes of this episode is people are slaves to time. So like you'll see shots coming in like where someone wearing a wristwatch, particularly when we're introduced to Kaoru. Like when Kaoru's brought into the episode, it starts with a shot on her wrist with her giant watch that she needs to keep track of time while she's doing her errands. And like, yeah, and it really homes in the fact how like dangerous Morax is, because everyone wears watches. When Koga's looking for the horror, like it's like sundown, so people are getting out of work, and people are, doing like last minute errands before night, and like he even points out like, why is everyone so punctual? Like this actually makes my job hard because I can't figure out who the human is. Oh, and it actually introduces Kaoru to Zaruba, and we actually get to see Zaruba interact with the rest of the cast a bit more. Because in the first two episodes, really, he only interacts with Koga. But here he talks about how he talks to Kaoru like he's a magic ring that helps Koga hunt horrors. That the ring Koga gave her is actually a piece of Zaruba, so that's how he can track her. But yeah, like it's really cool, and like some of the deaths in this are really, really good. When like they're actually really scary. Like Koga goes to a high school because like these girls are like training for track and field like after school, and the one girl found a watch, and for some reason she's able to run like super fast. She makes the school's record because Morax is possessing her body, and then like she starts laughing about how she found this like top of the line designer watch, and then she just starts laughing hysterically, and like they add like a pitch to it, so you're like, what? And then all of a sudden her legs turn into sand. Like legitimately, this was the first time when I watched this series, I was like, wow, that's creepy. That was actually really creepy. Like a dude like you see Morax like it like has these little spider legs that it jabs into a dude's arm, and then it burrows into his skin, and you see it like go up into his body, and then he like rips it in half and explodes into sand. It's surprisingly gory despite the fact that there's not a single bit of blood. I think it's just because you're like, oh, he exploded. Ow. But yeah, like it's really good. Like I like that we get to see like how like our group of people we're going to be interacting with, like our group of heroes, like we're clearly setting up that Gonza is going to be like the middleman in the two, where Koga's aloofness and coldness, Kaoru's overly extremely jubilantness, which is going to bite her in the tush later, because I come back to bite her on the butt later, because she progressively gets more annoying in this season. She gets better in the second season when we get to see her, but man, this first season, she will routinely get more and more bratty. Like, she's written like almost like a child. I mean, granted, here it's kind of reasonable because she's just trying to do her job. And yet Koga, like, acts like she's a nuisance, despite the fact he clearly doesn't think that of her, but that's Koga for you. Yeah, Koga's a bit of a jerk. He's probably my second favorite GARO, but my favorite GARO actually is in season 4. Like, they try to make, like, the next GARO after him in season 3 to be, like, really over the top, like, really, really happy and fun and smiles all the time, but, like, it's a little too much. Like, Koga's too aloof, and the next guy is too happy. In season 4, he's, like, he's chill, but he can still have fun. Like, he has Koga's, like, coldness when he hunts, but, like, he has, like, actual, like, people skills. So, like, and that's kind of something you're going to have to get used to when you watch this, because Koga is very much, like, super cold and aloof to the point where I think sometimes the actor was told to be a little bit too cold and aloof, because sometimes he gets a little wooden. He's not bad here, but, like, I will admit when I watch him sometimes I think he gets a little too wooden. But yeah, it's a good episode. I like the premise of this monster that, like, can hide in, like, a very mundane, everyday object that, you know, you normally don't think about. It's one of the reasons why I like this show, because, like, they actually do stuff that actually is really creepy and makes sense using the objects, and I think it also really works for the Japanese, because the Japanese are very punctual people. They are very rigid with schedules and making deadlines and stuff like that. You know, that's their. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was moving my hand so much. But yeah, you know, and it works. The premise is really good. There's some really great action, especially when they get into the clock tower and Koga has to survive fighting in this thing's body. Actually, some really good puppet work too on Morax when his face comes over the face of the clock tower. But yeah, like I said, this is another really good episode. It doesn't really do much to the plot, but that's kind of a given with this show. That it's more about developing the characters using the monster of the week, which, you know, that's tokusatsu for you. But yeah, this is a good episode. This is probably my favorite of the first 3. Next episode, it's a good episode, but I will admit this is where I kind of started to turn off on Kaoru. She gets really obnoxious. So yeah, that's my review of GARO Chapter Black Wolf episode 3. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow with the next one. Take care.